The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. We are live to tape on August 29th, 2022, episode number 528. My name is Gonz, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, aka the Cabana Boy, live from California, here to serve you a podcast that brings you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And today's emergent phenomena is loneliness. I'm lonely. Basil is lost somewhere in time, somewhere in Black Rock City, perhaps a black hole. But I was promised a phone call, a video, a Skype call, something to let me know that he was okay. But I have not heard anything. So, I think he's fine. My estimation is that he is either asleep in his trailer because he had to travel there, overnight or something, or he's so he's already a little inside knowledge on Basil. He's kind of on his own clock, right? He doesn't really follow human time, like the rest of humanity time. He kind of goes by his own clock, which is amazing that we have a podcast that comes out fairly regularly due to his lifestyle. But you go to the middle of the desert with, for Burning Man. And again, he's not there to do all the bad things. He's there to shine a light on the darkness. I would imagine that he is more disoriented with time. So he is either sleeping or he's stuck in some kind of traffic trying to get into Black Rock City. We'll probably try to get I have my Skype open so that, in case he is able to connect at some point during the show. But I'm running the ship solo today, so I appreciate everyone's grace as I try to wade through this. And I have to say, prepping for the show, it takes quite a bit of work to not just have the show notes ready, but have the episode, the stories sort of down pat, the emails that go out, the text messages that go out, the social media. There's all kinds of stuff that takes place behind the scenes before we go live. And having to do all of it solo, because Basil's taken on more responsibility as time has gone on in terms of the pre-show stuff, doing some of, and I think I've also missed a couple things, in the process. So anyway, besides the point, let's get into some of the things that we're going to discuss today, and we'll just get going here. First off, we're going to talk about Burning Man and just the report from DailyMail talking about what's going on there. And also some robot updates. Obviously, we'll do some Flippy updates. They're updates. There's more than one today, although there's one main story. Then there are some interesting things that Jared Kushner has recently said that is very much in line with what we've been talking about here and what I've been ranting and raving about for, not raving in terms of a good thing, but just ranting about for the last decade. So we'll get into that, as well as some cyborg stuff to go along with it, because I think it's all in line here. We're going to go look at some things happening in China and how China's workforce is, or at least for the youth, is really, really bad. And it really does show the thesis that we put out that is Flippy related as well. More from China as well. And we will also get into some Covido Waxino and some of the after effects of the still in a pandemic, but also kind of post-pandemic era that we're in, and something called the Mercury Project that I think is very interesting. And we're going to tap it out with some Antarctica surveillance technology. So again, a little bit shorter today, hopefully. Doing it solo, I don't know that I'm going to have the energy or the ability to get through everything smoothly, because again, we're trying to balance all the things I got to do here: the video, the audio, the jingle board, the stories that you see, the commentary. There's a lot happening. I could use a couple robot arms to help me, to be honest, but that not there yet, not quite there yet. But to kick things off, we are gonna go to a story about Burning Man.
Coming to you live from
Burning Man.
Welcome to the camp of the unknown god.
Yes, Basil is trying to find his mates over there at the camp of the unknown god. And we'll see if, again, he'll tap in or at least message me or something, buddy. Let me know you're okay out there, because, it is kind of a thing. In fact, before we start, we should go ahead and call upon the producers.
Producers, assemble!
Yeah, just pray for Basil, his safety, and not just spiritually, but we've all prayed for that, but just his physical safety and his ability to connect with Wi-Fi. If the Lord can make those alleged Starlink satellites connect so that we can get a message from Basil, that'll be fantastic. All right, so this is from DailyMail.co.uk, and the headline here: nearly 80,000 costumed revelers to arrive in Nevada desert for week-long Burning Man festival. And it says costumed revelers in the headline. Maybe he got rejected, because he wasn't wearing a costume. Although that would be odd, because his whole thing is in a costume. Let's see what it says. Return of the Burn. Black Rock City comes alive as thousands of revelers rock up in their RVs for week-long Burning Man festival after 2-year COVID hiatus. Burning Man has been a tradition in the Nevada desert for the past 36 years, but in 2020, event organizers decided to cancel the annual event due to concerns over COVID-19. The next year, the organizers decided to plan a virtual burn, though thousands decided to take matters into their own hands and hold a makeshift event in the desert themselves. But this year, the week-long event is back on track, with event organizers announcing on their website, quote, "After several long years, we are going home with the capital H." And I have to point out that, every time we hear from these folks from the Burning Man type of stuff, these transformative events, they always speak in spiritual language. You know, they always have kind of a spiritual undertone to everything they say. For example, the continued quote here, "It's time to resume our waking dreams and look to the future as we rebuild and recreate together." And if you talk about the fall, coming from my worldview, and a lot of you guys listening, the producers and everybody who share a similar worldview, there is this desire for man to build and rebuild, this ideal that exists in the minds of men, that, hey, there's perfection. We got to perfect society. We have to perfect man. And I think it's very fascinating, because where does that come from? Where does that desire come from? Well, you know, if you ask an atheist or maybe a secularist or someone, they might say, well, you look around and things are failing. The church has failed. People fail all the time. And you have to say, well, if you're an evolutionist, isn't that part of the design of evolution? Because the ability to lie, or the ability to be cunning or something like that, is beneficial for the survival of the fittest thesis. But they're not satisfied with that. They long for a world that is more peaceful and harmonious and things like that. And if you look at the biblical narrative, it's there. The Garden of Eden, we had it, and we lost it because of our inability to obey God's simple commands. And I mean, if you look at human history, that's all it is humans failing to abide to God's simple commands. But I point that out because, it's been on my mind a lot with the pushback from certain people and certain producers and stuff, which is totally fine. I really think that this is healthy. This is healthy in the in-house church conversation kind of way, a familial differences kind of way, because do you agree? Let me give you an example. Do you agree with everything about everything with your family members, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your mom, your dad? Guaranteed. I'm going to go out on a limb here. Guaranteed that there are things that you disagree about, from whether it be your favorite dish to whether there's a God or not, and everything in between. So, having differences in opinion about this mission that Basil is on as part of, Carl Teichrieb's ministry and everything else, it's okay. I think it's actually good. It's okay, because you want to flesh things out. Iron sharpens iron. And it doesn't mean that, we love you less, or we think you're not saved if you disagree with us or something like that. That's not the point. But the other thing I wanted to mention is that the spiritual language, the spiritual undertone that is always part of the discussion here with people that go to places like Burning Man, they are seekers. There are people there that are there, shamans and stuff like that are organizing, they're leading the way in terms of leading them astray, I would say, spiritually. But the vast majority of the 80,000 people that go there, they go there for two reasons. One is either they're just there to have a good time, they just want to party, whatever, right? But there are a good amount of people that go looking for something. They're seekers. They want truth. They want the reality of the world to be expressed to them. They want to know the truth. They're seekers. And if there isn't somebody representing God's presence there, shining a light on the darkness, then we might be doing it wrong. We might be doing ministry wrong if we're just preaching to the choir. And it gets into a whole thing. I've been reading some stuff and listening to some sermons and doing all that kind of stuff to kind of feed my own thing. And I don't want to get into it because that's not what this show's about. But I just want those who disagree to understand that, number one, it's okay to disagree. Number two, these are people that are seeking the truth. And, you got to have people there that know the truth to express it to people, to communicate it. And it's not to convert people. That's not the point. But maybe you can have a conversation. Maybe you can build a relationship with people that does lead to the salvation of souls. Maybe you can put a rock in someone's shoe, make them think about why they're there, really reflect on, where they are in life and things like that. So again, little side note thing, but it's important to think about these things in a wider perspective. And again, it's okay to disagree. All right, so back to this article here. The theme of this year's event, dubbed a temporary metropolis dedicated to community, art, self-expression, and self-reliance, is Waking Dreams. Interesting, isn't it? Yeah, we don't need God. We just need self-reliance. But that's on the spiritual level. On the more physical level, you can maybe agree a little bit with the self-reliance thing. It's we don't need governments to tell us what to do and tell us how we should live our lives and how we should spend our money and all that kind of stuff. So that rebellion against authority, I could relate to it on a kind of a carnal level. But again, they're multiple layers. And then waking dreams, the theme. According to the organizers, after a long hazy blur of pandemic insomnia, as if a majority of the people at Burning Man are going to have such clarity on everything. They're not going to be in a hazy blur this week. Anyway, adrift between sleeping and waking, it's time to start imagining the future again. This week-long festival finally began Sunday morning as a 7-square-mile makeshift encampment called Black Rock City, where free-spirited individuals who spent $575 each to attend this year's event can enjoy a multitude of parties, art installations, and even some things that are not good, and free food. It will all wrap up on September 4th with the burning of an effigy known as the Burning Man. And there's a photo there, and you have to admit that the art is amazing, but again, there's always sort of the spiritual thing behind it, right? And there's some photos here, people dressed up, having a good old time, some... the photos and things you see, it really is... I have to say that this is psychological preparation for the metaverse, because, the metaverse that I've seen that they're building so far, it's just kind of what this is, what you imagine to be, in terms of just all the wild things that you encounter in a world that is virtual, that you can basically create anything you want. Anything you'd imagine to do, you can do. Sound familiar? Genesis chapter 11, Tower of Babel. It features dozens of sculptures as well as a multitude of events, from parties to meditation sessions. No prayer sessions? Among the many events expected this year are plenty of scheduled parties where so-called burners can meet one another, enjoy some music, and, of course, some alcohol. There will be music choices for everyone, from Latin music to jazz sessions to 80s pop concerts and discos. More meditative activities will be offered for those who want something a little calmer, including a hammock forest. Now, listen, just a hammock forest by itself does not sound like a bad thing. I would, if I found myself stuck in Burning Man, I'd hang out at the hammock forest, just to kind of, chill out and sleep in a hammock. A hypnotherapy session and a communal peppermint bomb breathwork exercises, according to the San Francisco Gate. Meanwhile, more active revelers can stack and climb milk crates. Oh, wow. Isn't that a trend thing where people are doing? Kind of dangerous. And for those who are expecting to get physical with one of the many projectile throwing contests or a foam weapon fight, a bikini armor crafting workshop is recommended. All right. And for those who want to expand their mind, Burning Man will also offer several educational sessions on topics like the intersection of artificial intelligence and astronomy, as well as the use of psychedelics in surgeries. Also new this year is the camp on the playa, the section of the desert where the event takes place, called Consensual Abduction, where guests can climb through a wormhole slide to arrive at a dance floor for all-night raves. Or, I said that weird. For all-night raves. And there's more stuff there. The usual pagan-esque activities that are part of the culture and lore of Burning Man. And, there's an interesting piece of art here that I'm looking at. It's kind of like a cage. It's like a three segment cage, almost kind of like a clock tower at the top there. And it's got these 3 legs on it. And yeah, it's very, very bizarre. Lots of time and energy goes into building these things. I mean, it is not a quick thing. These sculptures and everything else. And again, I recommend you go listen to some of the older episodes of Canary Cry News Talk, just because you'll get a sense of the kinds of things that are there, what it's like to walk around. Basil had his microphone and he was walking around and just running into random people and everything else. And it really, I think, is helpful to understand that, again, these are just people seeking something, seeking to fulfill the void, and trying to do it with all the wrong things, I would say. But there you go. That's a little quick article. We'll hopefully hear from Basil as he is able to settle in and find out what he's up to. So I did have something completely unrelated as a story, just in case Basil did show up, because then, talking about this article would have been kind of pointless. And that's just the breaking stuff about stuff going on in Iraq. Shells fired at Baghdad Green Zone. Security sources. At least 7 shells fell Monday in Baghdad's fortified Green Zone, a security source said, as chaos erupted after Iraqi Shia cleric Mustafa al-Sadir said he was quitting politics. Baghdad under a little bit of turmoil there. So, yeah, I just wanted to mention that because that was breaking as I was putting this episode together. And it is one of those things that requires a little more deep dive, I guess, or a little more analysis. But nevertheless, there you go. That's our little intro. And again, you'll have to forgive me because what I do normally when Basil's talking is I'm prepping for the next thing, right? So if it's a jingle, if it's the next slide or the next thing you see on screen, that's what I'm doing. But because I don't have Basil to do that today, I'll be the one rambling, and there's a great chance that I will mess up on something. So please be kind. Be kind. It is Monday after all.
Gary, what day is it? Monday. 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 Gary, what day is it? Monday.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Yeah, it's true. I'm lonely, and it's Monday, which makes it doubly worse. And today's the 29th. Oh yeah, the calendar does mention that this week is Burning Man, so there's that. The Canary Cry calendar. Personal things, I don't know. There's not much to talk about from my personal life. There was something I was going to mention, but I totally forgot. My mind was all consumed with trying to get this show going today and doing it solo. But hope everybody had a good weekend. Sorry about that. And because things are getting pretty wild, and we'll get into some more stuff that really caught my attention. But in the meantime, I do want to mention that Canary Cry News Talk is a show that is value for value. That means you listen to the show, you think you get value out of it, you simply provide value back with your time, talent, or treasure. And that is a cyclical thing. We don't do advertising, we don't sell products, we don't do the things that are normally done by podcasts to sustain themselves. We are totally listener supported. And when you do support us in that way, you are not just listeners, you become producers. That is the way things work. You support a show financially or with your time or your talent. You are producing, you are helping to produce the show. And so we want to recognize some of the people that are coming in, really helping out. And these are people, executive producers is what we call them. Anyone who comes in $100 or more is considered an executive producer. And I just want to kick it off with Anonymous. Thank you, Anonymous. He came in with a Dogecoin donation. Maybe it was Elon Musk. Maybe Elon is giving us a hint there. The only part of the note that I can read is for Burning Man. So thank you very much. Oh, you know what I forgot to do is to do the intro for the executive producers.
Executive producers.
There you go. Yeah, see, I go solo and I completely forget about certain things like that. So yes, our first executive producer is Anonymous. Thank you for the Dogecoin. Hopefully Doge to the moon. Appreciate it. Anonymous.
Where'd you find this?
And we have more people who came in with support. And the next person is Producer Morv. He came in with $133.
Illuminatus!
And he is on a streak, which is what we do something fun here. If you're a new listener, we count the number of episodes in a row that you support. And Morv is at 100 133 episodes in a row.
133 is all about spiritual enlightenment. It is all about surrendering to the divine. 133 is sending you a guiding light.
Out in the street. Best thing on 2 feet.
Congratulations, more of you are officially part of the streak. You are no longer just on a streak, you are the streak. Which, there's some interesting ways you can interpret that, especially when we're talking about Burning Man. But he has a note here. Good morning, brothers. So I've been a little slack on coming up with the knighthood name and kept putting it off, but I think the time has finally come. I figured it would be a good fit to do it on a big streak day like today. It's hard for me to put into words how much of an impact this ministry has had on my life, but please know that God is working in mighty ways through you guys, through your dedication to this show, and through this through this community of believers. Thank you, Jesus. Amen. Amen. Thank you, Jesus, for bringing the show and community into my life. Can't wait to be celebrating with you all in glory. Keep fighting the good fight, brothers and sisters. Jesus is coming, and he does have a new knight name. Sir Morv, Knight of the Burning Chariots. Oh, man, that is awesome. I love that knight name. Sir Morv, Knight of the Burning Chariots. Might be one of my favorite knight names so far. A little note about the name. I've always been fascinated about the chariots of fire mentioned throughout the Bible, and I'm also a big gearhead/car enthusiast. I'm not too sure how things are going to work when the new heavens and earth are created, but I'm thinking it will be a pretty cool gig to get a ride around on some fiery chariots. Yeah, I don't know if there's fiery chariot mechanics in eternity, but yeah, that would be a cool job to have. Get your hands dirty in heaven. Thanks for all you guys do and for this great community. Love y'all. Sir Morv, you have been a vital part of our community, and we are very grateful for your support over the years and months, maybe. Definitely months, but for sure years. It's got to be years now. At least 2 years or so. So thank you, Morv, for today's executive producership.
Where'd you find this?
And if you don't mind, Morv, I'd rather have Basil here for your actual knighting. We will label... Yeah, that's tough because you want it to be on episode 133. We will put down episode 133 as your knighting day. And your knighting episode. Actually, you know what? Never mind. It doesn't matter. We're doing it by episode. See, this is what happens. I'm just rambling on about nonsense. Okay, it doesn't matter because it's the episode number, not the streak number that we document the knighthoods. And if you want to see all the knights, just go to canarycrynewstalk.com/roundtable, and you will see the long list of knights and dames who have supported the show over the years. So thank you very much, Morv. Appreciate it. Oh, I'm sorry. Sir Morv, Knight of the Burning Chariots. Thank you very much. All right, we got one more. Sir Captain Redbeard, Pirate King of the D-Moochers. Thank you very much, Sir Captain Redbeard. He has a note. Captain Redbeard. I got to do it in a pirate voice. Ugh. It's the kind of nonsense that I leave for Basil. All right, here we go. Yarr, Captain Redbeard sends some booty for Burning Man, a much-needed mission field many people ignore, are intimidated by, or simply know nothing about. Bring back some new crewmates, lad. There you go. Thank you, Sir Captain Redbeard. Hey, what would be great is if we can just demooch a bunch of people from Burning Man and bring them into the Canary Cry community and save some souls. So this demooching is an honorific one from Sir Captain Redbeard to all the burners.
You've been demooched. Where'd you find this?
Thank you, Sir Captain Redbeard. We'll be thanking the rest of our producers later on. There are some meetups coming up, and there's meetup. That's the one thing. I apologize. I couldn't get all the meetup reports in order. I know we're behind on a couple of them, and I know there was a big, long weekend of meetups. But if you'll allow an episode or two for us to get that organized so we can present it nice and cleanly, I appreciate that. There was just too many things for me to do to get the show going today. And that's one of those things that Basil takes care of usually. So thank you very much. your executive producers. Thank them, pray for them. They are keeping the show alive. All right, what to do next? Oh, yes, it is time for the Flippy update.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Yeah, it's time for the Flippy update. Flippy is the colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use Flippy to discuss how the robots are taking over everything. And now there's nothing we can do about it until Jesus comes back. That's my little own spin on the little tag there. Today, we have a story from news.cgtn.com. And the headline here, skiing and curling robots shine at World Robot Conference. Now, we might have already done the report on these robots that do curling and skiing. I don't know about skiing, and maybe curling we mentioned before. But this was interesting from the photos here. But let me read a little bit of what it says. As the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics heralded a new era for the popularity of ice and snow sports across China, winter sports-related robots have become a trending topic in exploring new ways of combining sports and smart technology. You guys notice the trend, this mix between sports and smart technology. That is going to be a continuing thing, not a huge baseball fan, but sometimes I watch baseball, and I've watched baseball all my life. And, you look at the umpire and you look at where the ball hits the glove of the catcher. And, sometimes they even have that little rectangle box that shows you where the strike zone is. And when it's clearly outside the strike zone and the guy calls strike, or it's clearly in and the guy's like, ball, come on. But I guess that's part of the game. That will all be eliminated with robot umpires eventually. Little things like that, there's part of me that thinks, well, you're already using the technology to track all that. Why not just, just make that the call instead of humiliating the umpire? Anyway, maybe that's part of the conspiracy to show the frailty of human ability or something like that. Anyway, skiing and curling robots will be eye-catching in their debut during the 2022 World Robot Conference that takes place in Beijing Yizhuang International Convention and Exhibition Center from August 18th through the 21st. So it already happened, but, we're a little behind on things. In specific, the robots are the curling hexapod robot and skiing hexapod robot, both featuring 6 legs, as the word hexapod implies. They are developed by the Intelligent Walking Robot Research of the Shanghai Jiao Tong University as a key project in cooperation with the China Olympic Committee during the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympic Games. And there's a photo here of the curling circle. And yep, it's a spidery looking thing with a robot with 6 legs. And they're labeled front legs, middle legs, back legs. Because, can't tell without it. I want to see the ski robot. Where's that ski robot? All right, they're sticking on the curling robot here. Here we go. Okay, many elite athletes may picture themselves as robot-like scoring machine. In comparison between robots and athletes, who's Chen? It's got to be some kind of doctor here. I'm skipping stuff around. Chen Zhenbao, research associate from Shanghai Jiao Tong University. Chen said, quote, robots can achieve high precision in a repetitive way that some elite athletes may not. Oh, and by the way, remember the football quarterback punter robot thing that we talked about a couple episodes ago? His name was Seeker, right? Yeah, a lot of themes overlapping. And I'm looking at the picture here of this 6-legged hexapod ski robot. It's the exact same robot as the one for curling, except the 3 legs on each side of the robot, each leg is on a ski. So, okay. All right. I gotta admit, you see this thing coming down the mountain on the snow side there, it would be pretty terrifying, especially if it can't stop or something. Let's see. There's panda robots. Yeah, we've always known about the panda robots, which is very ironic in China. And then it talks about the Chinese robots and all in kind. So there you go. This is kind of a shorter side Flippy update, but we're going to talk about a couple other robots and their stories related to certain aspects of China in a moment here. So things will connect. But in the meantime, got a little transhuman update here. So there was an interview or some kind of live stream that Jared Kushner did recently, and he says something very interesting in it. I have the Mediaite article here, which is not something that we usually report from. The headline, and you'll see why. The headline here is Steve Bannon attacks transhumanist Jared Kushner, claims he rushed experimental gene therapy vaccine and bid for immortality. And again, this is not the kind of outlet that we normally do stuff, but there's a clip associated with Jared Kushner saying a certain thing or two. And given the history, it is something that I thought I would mention here. Former Trump White House advisor and campaign manager tore into his one-time West Wing colleague Jared Kushner on Friday after Kushner said he believed he might, quote-unquote, live forever. Kushner made the odd comments, which sparked a slew of media headlines and conversation from former Trump official Richard Grenell. Kushner said, "From the last year, the one thing I've tried to put a priority on since I left the White House was, getting some exercise in. I think that there's a good probability that my generation is, hopefully, with the advances in science, either the first generation to live forever or the last generation that's going to die." Oops, wrong button. That's not a thank you. That wrong button. I was looking for the ding. There we go. And let's see. Let me try to pull up this tweet and hear it from the man himself, straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Or there's a lot of antichrist theories about Jared Kushner, and I can see why. This is not helping your sort of PR against those who say that Jared Kushner might be being groomed for the Antichrist. But here we go. Let's see. Let me see if I can play this. Here we go.
Friend. And then finally, I think that from, the last year, the one thing I've tried to put a priority on since I left the White House was, getting some exercise in. I think that there's a good probability that my generation is, hopefully with the advances in science, either, the first generation to live forever or the last generation that's going to die. And so we need to keep ourselves in pretty good shape. And then the other thing I like, friend. And
okay. So... get in shape. There's no problem with working out. Get in shape. I started doing a lot more push-ups recently. I'm trying to shed some pounds, and it's to make sure I can keep up with my son, who's becoming a crazy climber. He climbs everything. Trying to stay in shape. Sure. Trying to not preserve the body so we don't deteriorate. I can understand that. But the logic behind Jared Kushner wanting to get in shape, like, I want to get in shape, not because, hey, want to just be in better shape. Just, we've been sitting around inside all for a couple of years during the lockdown. No. It's not because of that. It's because we're either in the last generation to die or the first generation to live forever. Okay, Jared Kushner, like, what are you talking about? This guy must be really rubbing his shoulders with some technocrats, because you don't just come out and say that. You've got to be plugged into some kind of network of individuals who are seeking technological immortality that I've been talking about for pretty much since the beginning. I got to say, the reason why I got so passionate about making content and the Bible and Bible prophecy and all that stuff. I was saved in 2008. I was baptized, or 2007. I was baptized. And, the first couple years, it was sort of learning the ropes about just the Bible in general and the history and getting all the apologetics in there, learning the basic philosophical arguments for the existence of God and the absurdity of atheism and things like that. Just doing as much as I can. I would say it was like a university level education with the advent of podcasting and everything else that was out there. Found a lot of individuals, Dr. William Lane Craig, and I can't think of all the names right now. I love David Guzik, although he's not technically an apologist. But all these guys, even Chuck Missler, that's when things started to go a little fringe for me. But in general, a good foundation of the Bible and its truth and how it resonates in history and everything else. And then I started to really get into asking questions about, cosmological questions about UFOs and aliens and demons and, where does that all fit into the Bible? And it was the description of the end times that I was very struck by, because I was reading it going, wait a minute. The stuff that the cutting edge technologists, scientists, all these transhumanists really were talking about sounds exactly like what the Bible describes as sort of the end, basically, the end of human history, which makes sense. Chuck Missler always said that, the Bible is history written before it happens, and especially Bible prophecy. So, yeah, just reading certain passages and thinking, wow, because for most of human history, at least known human history, for most of academically acknowledged human history, especially post Christendom, but I would even say post the Reformation. So it hasn't been too long, but the Reformation with the splitting of the Catholic Church and the Protestant Church and all that kind of stuff, and people became more literate with the Bible. A lot of people just said, it's either all happened in the past and it's all colorful metaphorical language, the book of Revelation and things like that, the book of Daniel, it's all history. And there are actually really good studies that show that, yeah, there is actually some history that probably were fulfilled or some kind of type of fulfillment that happened in the past, especially with the destruction of the Jewish, the temple in Jerusalem in 70 AD. There's some good arguments there, but there's still some things that hasn't happened. And unless you're going to say that there's like massive, millennia gaps in between, which some people argue, it's much more likely that there are archetypes of these prophecies and that we are living through something like it now. And the more and more I look around, the more I'm convinced. It's like, wow, we're really at this point in history where people using science and technology are going to try to do what Jesus did on the cross and, in the tomb, rising from the dead and becoming, getting an eternal body, 1 Corinthians 15, all that stuff, immortal bodies. And so it's just so fascinating to me. And so that's what caught my attention. So transhumanism really was the path by which I started to really dig into the Bible, dig into all these issues. And it got to a certain point where I couldn't take it anymore, and I had to put it in a documentary film. That's what Age of Deceit was. And then even more so explored in Age of Deceit 2, where I really dove into the history of alchemy, the occult history, which again is something that humanity has been trying to do, this restoration to the golden age, or whatever they want to call it. It's all the same. There's nothing new under the sun. It's all the same throughout history, ever since the fall. And looking at the attempts, how close perhaps they got post-flood at the Tower of Babel. And, there are arguments about what kind of technology existed back then or whatever. But in terms of the general heart of man trying to reach heaven and God saying, no, not yet. That's not how this is going to play out, and confusing the languages. Because remember, in Genesis 11, it says that, anything they imagine to do, the people, building the Tower of Babel, they can do, which happens to be a very similar line at the beginning of the movie Real Player One, talking about the Oasis, this virtual world, the metaverse, basically, where people can be anybody they want because, they're just in the metaverse. They can do whatever they want because they're in the metaverse. Anything they imagine to do, they can do. They can be all those things because it's in the metaverse. And so anyway, a lot of overlapping things here. So, yeah, there you go. That's Jared Kushner's little clip there. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. And then it goes into Steve Bannon, back to the article here. It goes into Bannon ranting and raving about this. He said on, what is this? Gitter? Yeah, Gitter. Still think that's a horrible name for a social media platform. But I guess he said on Gitter, transhumanist who believes it's a real possibility that he could live forever and never die put himself in charge of Project Warp Speed, the effort to rush an experimental gene therapy / vaccine through trials towards emergency use authorization. Now things begin to become clear. Now let me point out something about Steve Bannon here and just his comment. He says here, a transhumanist who believes it's a real possibility that he could live forever and never die. Now, just taking that quote in context, what does a Christian, a follower of Jesus Christ, what do they believe? Do they believe in eternal life, that they'll live forever and never die? You know, the body might die, but, you know, we're given new bodies. So, I don't know. There's just something there where Steve Bannon, I know there's a lot of Christians that like Steve Bannon, but I'm just saying the shade here being thrown at the transhumanist is, oh, he thinks he could live forever and never die, which is kind of the same thing that Christians believe. So just a small, detailed, nuanced thing there, but I want to point that out because it's easy to just defend a guy like Steve Bannon. It's like, oh yeah, he supported Trump and he's trying to drain the swamp and all that kind of stuff. But we're equal opportunists here when it comes to criticism. And I don't particularly know exactly Steve Bannon's faith, and I haven't been following him enough to truly know. Maybe somebody in the chat or somebody in the comments can clarify his worldview there. And then it goes like this. Encyclopedia Britannica defines transhumanism as a social and philosophical movement devoted to promoting the research and development of robust human-enhanced technologies. Yeah, and then it talks about Alex Jones and DeSantis and everything else. Not a lot of substance here, but you get the point. The thing I wanted to bring out is that quote from Jared Kushner, because it is quite remarkable that he wants to work out because, hey, we might have the technology to live forever. And I have to say that, we here have always been kind of the weirdos. Like, I was talking to a close friend of the show last night on the phone, and I was telling him how when everything shut down, like when they started to really shut down everything at the beginning of COVID, I had to, especially the months leading after and stuff like that, I had to fight my pride. I really had to be like, okay, it happened. What do we do from here? Because there was a part of me that wanted to just say, I bleeping told you, world, that this thing was planned and it's going to happen. They're going to do this thing and try to pull off this thing. This is like change and all the stuff, the reset, whatever you want to call it. So there was that real sense of, I called it, we called it, as not just me, as a community of people that have been saying for many years, and not just us, and not our generation. I mean, I'm talking generations prior, who have said stuff like that. We were right about this, at least this pandemic thing. And I really had to fight my pride because at a certain level, it was just like, man, come on, we've been saying this. So in light of that, I want to bring you this other story here from DailyMail.co.uk. And because it goes right along with it. It goes right along with what we also talked about in the last couple episodes about creating mythologies for people or for children specifically, and the connection to superheroes.
Are you ready to become Cyborg?
Again, this is dailymail.co.uk, and this article is headlined Schoolgirl, 8, as in 8 years old, who lost an eye to cancer aged 2, reveals she's upgraded her blue prosthetic lens to a sparkly pink one, and her friends say she looks like a superhero. We have been saying, I've been saying in particular, you can probably find some videos that I've done from, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, where I was breaking down some Marvel movies. I don't remember which one. Maybe it was Ultron. Maybe it was Transformers. There was a whole period where I was doing like breakdowns of movies and stuff. Don't do that as much anymore. It's just overwhelming, to be honest. Other people are doing it, and I encourage people to do it. But it just gets exhausting, because every single movie you watch, every single TV show you watch, you can literally be like, oh, that's that thing. That's that. You can just see the predictive programming everywhere. And one of the big points that I made back then, and I think it's true, is that they are conditioning a generation to accept the quote unquote upgrade. And here's how the story goes. A schoolgirl says she can't wait to show off her new sparkly pink prosthetic eye when term starts next week after she lost her own eye to cancer as a toddler. Daisy Passfield, 8, from Hertfordshire, was diagnosed with a grade D tumor in her retina when she was just 14 months old. The then tot had chemotherapy to shrink the tumor, but 2 months after chemotherapy, it began growing back, forcing doctors to remove her right eye completely. I have thoughts. Gotta keep reading. Daisy underwent a 4-hour operation months later. Her family had hoped a newer procedure designed to disintegrate the tumor would work, but traces of it were left, and fearing it would grow, they opted to have Daisy's eye removed. And there is a photo here of the young girl. Beautiful young girl and her mother, and her right eye is, she's got this eye that is like pink, and like the iris part is pink, and she does look like a little cyborg child. And here's another, for those of you watching, here's another photo of the young girl, a close-up of her holding her old prosthetic eye, and next to her new prosthetic eye that's pink in her eye. There's some photos of when she was a baby. The 8-year-old originally chose a blue prosthetic eye, but this year decided to add a little glamour to her look. The confident schoolgirl surprised her family and doctors by asking to have a new eye in her favorite color, pink glitter. Now she's proud to show off her superhero eye, which pals say looks befitting of a unicorn or a dragon, much to Daisy's delight. Daisy from Abbots Langsley, Hertfordshire, said, quote, "I feel happy because everyone can see my pink sparkly eye. I'm so excited to show everyone at school my sparkly eye." Man, I mean, this is just an 8-year-old girl, but I can't help but think about the all-seeing eye at the top of the pyramid. And it's pink and sparkly. Quote, "I think they will love it just like I do. Everyone I have spoken to has said how lovely it is." She says that she's already been told by fans of her new eye that she looks like she has a superhero eye, a dragon's eye, and a unicorn's eye. Ugh. Can we be a little more obvious about the spirit behind this thing? I like all those things, she says. I like superheroes, I like dragons, and I like unicorns. Which, by the way, if you have not seen the origin of the unicorn and the initiation ritual that it is in the occult, man, that's pretty big. Daisy's mom, Alicia Passfield, 30, said it was tough trying to get a diagnosis for Daisy's condition. Alicia said that she noticed there was something wrong with Daisy while looking at a picture of her. She said, "I noticed from a photograph that she had a white glow in her eye, and her eye had a glaze on it. The most common symptoms are a white glow in eye or a pupil in dim lighting, or when a photo is taken using a flash and a squint." And man, these pictures just keep getting closer and closer to her face on this article. It kind of starts off with the family, then it's a little portrait shot, and now it's just like a real close-up. So you can really see the detail in the iris and the sparkly pink eye. And goes into the details that I don't think it's necessary for us to really dig into for the story. But, it makes me think, if you consider the problem, reaction, solution equation, cancer. We all know somebody who's been affected by cancer. Family, friends, everybody that I know somebody that has been affected by cancer. And we know a lot of cancer just logically comes from, the poor diet, at a basic level. Not even have to get conspiratorial, diet, lack of exercise, things like that. Maybe not lack of exercise, but just immune system stuff, weakening it. And then you can get into some of the more fringy stuff. What are they spraying in our skies? The chemicals they put in our food, the GMOs, everything else. So when you think about the problem, reaction, solution equation, it's very difficult for me not to think that all along the spreading of cancer, not only does it create an industry, a huge pharmaceutical industry that treats the symptoms, not the cause, the symptoms, right? That's what all of big pharma is. It's a big money-making machine to treat symptoms, not to treat the core issues. They had to have known, they as in, the spirits that watch over, the negative ones, not the good ones. The watchers, if you will, the principalities and powers. They had to have known that eventually the humanity will get to a point where they will continue to use technology to try to solve this issue of cancer. And so in that regard, I feel that this is very much in line with the problem, reaction, solution. Daughter break, what's going on? Hi. Do you have something? Oh, look at that. That is so adorable. Thank you very much. Oh, look at that. Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's your special day.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, thank you. Okay, I got to keep doing the show. Bye. Oh, she's so cute. She made a little piece of art for me. Ooh, it's green screening. A little green tree so you can't see it. And a little booklet. She's very crafty. Love it, love it. Family show. All right, so, yes. So just in terms of the problem, reaction, solution, I can't help but think that cancer itself was sort of allowed to spread throughout society because, we're not going to solve it for them until we have the proper technology in place to solve it permanently in the transhumanist sort of agenda. So there you go. A couple stories here to think about why we have been right for 10 years. But in all seriousness, it is the kind of story that really affirms my whole ministry, not my ministry, the ministry with Canary Cry News Talk and just all of the producers and listeners out there and everybody who's been following along and have been trying to wake up their friends and family. It's stories like this that really can help drive home the point about, hey, Scripture talked about this a long time ago. God wrote history before it happened. And things like predictive programming. Why all the superhero movies? Why the billions spent on entertainment that conditions a whole generation of young people to want to become cyborgs? So there you go. It's party time. Go to canarycry.party. You'll find a tree of links with ways to watch the show, listen to the show, produce the show, connect with us and the community. Yeah, go to canarycry.party. Just put it in your URL, hit enter, and it'll take you to this page with a bunch of links that lead you to all sorts of things. The text notification, the actual podcast page itself, how to produce the show, the Discord chat, the supply drop, which, by the way, we're in the last couple days here before we make the cutoff for the next supply drop. You also have a little segment titled Valuable Resources, where you got Street Team resources, you got the Canary Cry Bingo, you got the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames. Of course, you have Ravel. That's Basil's other podcast where he talks about society, scripture, and scandal with Dr. Christopher Ryan Gates. There's also a link there right underneath. I know he always pitches the Ravel thing, but just because I'm doing solo here. I have the Face Like the Sun archive. And if you click on that, it will take you to the Odyssey page. The Face Like the Sun Odyssey page, where I have a lot, not every, but most of the videos that was published on the Face Like the Sun channel is preserved here. Now, for some reason, the documentaries didn't make it. I don't know if they were too long or what, but because they're each like 3 hours long. So for some reason, they didn't make it. But everything else is there. So if you are trying to look for something that I published back in the day. Some of these are like, look at these videos, 7 years old. Like, come on. Weapons of Antichrist, Athena, Googletopia, Internet Fascism, CERN Watch, Tower of Babel, Solar Eclipse. That's 7 years ago. Wow. Let's see. Are you a Satanist? Obama on Kimmel, UFOs, aliens. Yeah, we've been tracking all this stuff for a long time. Anthony Patch, the hexagram deception. That was a real unpopular one with the fellow Christians. Let's see, Stan Deo in there. Anyway, all the videos are there from the Face Like the Sun channel. The word of encouragements are there too. I really should get back to doing those. I'm just trying to find time to do them, and it's been tough with the children now. But there you go. You can do that. It's all there at canarycry.party. You can also find the Canary Cry Clips channel on YouTube or Odyssey. That's where we have our Clippies go in there and clip out all the segments of this show so that you don't have to sit through or look around for the story or the segment that you want. The Clippies do a great service by just taking out each segment by itself and making its own standalone video. And it's great to share with friends and family, the content. Although, the view count is low. You got, just a few views here, 77 for a couple of them, 50, 121 on this one video about the YouTube snake robot that we talked about a few weeks ago. And I know that can be kind of a turnoff. Like some people might say, oh, they only have 20 views on this video. Like, why should I listen? That is a psychological thing. So if you guys can go there and click around, check out some videos, share it with friends and family, we'd really appreciate it. And you can also receive text messages. All you got to do is text Canary, the word Canary, to 877-740-3226, and you will get a text notification before we go live every show. And that's one of those things I am not used to doing. That's Basil's thing. But I think I was able to get in there, and hopefully everybody who is subscribed to that today received the text message. And by the way, I didn't know that there's some auto thing on the text where Canary Cry News Talk is already in like the intro part of the text. So anybody who got the text, the first thing you see is Canary Cry News Talk, and then in all caps, Canary Cry News Talk. So sorry about that. I don't know how things work here. Some of the things is in Basil's hands. So there you go. And I think that's it. Let's get back to the show, and we're going to talk about, what are we talking about? Oh, yes. China. Oh, no, you know what? Oh, sorry. I forgot. We do the break here and thank some producers. All right, that's what we'll do real quick, and then we'll get back to the show here. It's break time.
Break time! Come on, take a break.
All right, I guess we're already in a break, but a little longer break, and then we'll get back to it. So we are value for value, which means, again, no advertising. We do not sell your email, sell our email list, which your email would be on, to third parties. We don't sell your attention to somebody else for our financial gain. We think that is, well, we think it's unethical in some sense, because I know everybody does it, okay? The big podcasts do it. It's just the way of the world in a sense, but we just don't like doing that because we say things and have thoughts and opinions that may upset those different parties. And we don't want that restriction. We don't want to be gagged by a financial sort of incentive to not say something or lie about something just to have a little bit of extra monetary gain. And so we don't do that. We keep everything free, and the reason why it's able to stay free is because of the producers. And again, if you are supporting the show with your time, talent, or treasure, you are a producer of the show. And as we thanked earlier, we have some executive producers who come in with $100 or more. And we also have producers, which, by the way, today was Anonymous and Sir Dove, Knight of the Fiery Chariots, and also Sir Captain Redbeard, Pirate King of the Demoochers. We also have producers who come in under $100, but over $7.77, which entitles you to have a note read. And so we're going to thank them real quickly. There's not many, so it'll be quick. First up, Julie S. Thank you, Julie S. She came in with $31.40. I did not see a note. Apologies if I missed it. And again, please show some grace today. Doing everything solo here. So if I missed something, we'll make up for it in the following episodes. Thank you very much, Julie S., for coming in with your support. Next up, we have Kira, which, man, is there a handle for Kira? I forget.
Daddy,
yes.
We better go downstairs. Hazel's in trouble, and there's break to glass down there.
He broke glass?
Yeah.
Oh no. Okay, that's not good. Okay, well, all right. This is an emergency, apparently. Let's do this. I'm going to play. Hold on. I'm going to play. Stop, please. I'm going to play a song. I will be right back, and we will continue the show. Let me see. Let me find a track that I can play. That'll give me a couple minutes here. Let's do. Sorry, I'm trying to just pull things up here. Pulling an Audible. All right, I'm going to play the Psalm 40 song here. Revelation 5. I'll be right back and figure out what's going on. Yeah, that's a jingle that I had my finger ready to go, so I have to let it go. All right, here we go. I'll be right back.
The fallen dragon called out a beast from the sea. It had 7 heads with 10 horns. 10 crowns were on its horns, and blasphemous names were on its heads. And to it the dragon gave his power and authority. One of its heads had a mortal wound, but it was healed. So the whole world followed the beast, and they worshipped the dragon, for that was the source of the power of the beast. And they said, "Who is like the beast, and who can fight against it?" The beast was allowed to make war on the saints, and to conquer them. It was given authority over every tribe and nation. Listen closely. If anyone is to be taken captive, to captivity he goes. If anyone is to be slain by the sword, then by the sword they must be slain. This is a call to the endurance of the saints. Then I saw a second beast rise from the earth. It had 2 horns like a lamb, and it spoke like a dragon. It shared all the authority of the first beast, and it made the whole earth worship him, the one whose mortal wound was healed. This second beast will perform great signs, even calling fire down from heaven. It will deceive the whole world into making an image for the beast that was wounded and yet lived. The second beast will then give breath to this image, and all those who do not worship the image of the beast will be killed. It will cause everyone, both rich and poor, to be marked, so that no one can buy or sell unless they bear the mark, that is, the name of the beast, or the number of its name.
Okay, sorry about that, folks.
Then behold.
I think you took care of it. A couple minutes there. Appreciate the patience. Let's get back to thanking some people. Where was I? Oh, yeah, so we're going to thank Kira for her $26.25. We appreciate that. And she has a note. Burning Man, I did Grateful Dead tour 89 to 94, including Europe. Europe's rainbow gathering between shows, including an annual... Oh, man, some of the... Sorry, the... I don't know why, but sometimes when I copy and paste the messages in here, the... for whatever reason, PayPal's HTML stuff or something, or their CSS or something gets messed up. Wild stuff decades later, so I understand the scene. Through all my adventures, I was searching for truth, yet miserable. Shine Christ's light. Thank you very much. And there you go. That's what I was kind of rambling about at the top of the show, is a lot of people there are searching for the truth. And are I would imagine that they're kind of miserable because they can't find the obvious truth, which is, that God is there and that God loves you and that, Jesus is Lord. Thank you very much, Kira, for the support. Next up, we have Scott B. Scott B came in with $14.03, and his note said, Burning Man. That's it. That's all his note said. So thank you very much, Scott B. And lastly here, we have Runk Smash. And Runk Smash is on a 25 episode streak, I believe. Yeah. And I came in with 777 with a note here that says, hey everyone, please pray for my brother. The scans showed a mass on his liver as well, but we're not sure what it is. And later this week, he has an appointment to get a treatment plan for the colon cancer. Love y'all, Runk Smash. So let's call upon the producers again.
Producers, assemble!
All you producers out there, those are people that are praying for the show, for people in the show, the people, or the community. Oh my gosh. I'm a little flustered here. Praying for the show and praying for the people in the community. And Runk Smash is one of those people. Runk Smash's brother here going through some tough health issues. So please pray for his brother. And there you go. Thank you very much for Runk Smash and for everybody who has come in today. The numbers are a little bit lower, but it's okay. It's kind of expected, especially with the current situation there. So thank you to all of you for your patronage.
Shut up and take my money. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage.
All right, now we can talk about China.
Welcome to Chinese news.
It comes from China. It's not racist at all, no.
Not racist at all. We have an article here from businessstandard.com, and it's an interesting one. The headline here is China's youth jobless rate hits a record high of 19.9% amid COVID pandemic. 19.9%. 1 in 5 Chinese youth are jobless. Wow. Youth jobless rate in China has hit a record high of 19.9%, media reports said, citing the country's National Bureau of Statistics. Chinese local media portal Global Times, while citing the Ministry of Education, noted that the number of college graduates in 2022 is expected to reach 10.76 million, exceeding 10 million for the first time, which is 1.6 million more than 2021. They surveyed urban unemployment in July. The surveyed urban unemployment in July was 5.4%, down 0.1% compared with the previous month. Fu Lingshui, a spokesperson from the NBS, said during a press conference. Meanwhile, the urban unemployment stood at 6.1% in April, followed by 5.9% in May and 5.5% in June. The jobless rate climbed to a record of 19.9% in July, compared with just 19.3% in June and 18.4% in May. Youth unemployment tracks those aged between 16 to 24. July is the graduation season, and a large number of graduates entered the labor market for the first time, pushing up the unemployment rate among youngsters, Fu said. Moreover, businesses have slowed their pace of recruitment due to the impact of the COVID epidemic. In particular, the slow recovery of the tertiary industry has also hindered the employment of young people. Also, many people, or younger people, look for more stable jobs, which has caused a gap between job hunting and demand, Fu says. The domestic job market is facing mounting pressure due to COVID-19, while Chinese authorities continues to implement policies in an attempt to ease the situation, as per the media portal. The most educated generation in China's history is facing a setback, as about 15 million young people are estimated to be jobless, and many are lowering their ambitions. According to the latest figures from the National Bureau of Statistics in July, that's the one for China, the average surveyed unemployment rate in urban areas, okay, just more numbers, we get it. And obviously this was not difficult to see in the past. COVID shuts everything down. One of the first things we said was, hey, this is a great opportunity to restructure some global supply chains, and even more, enter the robots, right? Get the robots involved. And I find it very interesting because I found this article here, and this is kind of a quasi-Flippy, and it's from ChinaDaily.com.cn, and some carrying water for Xi, apparently, with this article. But the headline, China's Jiangsu accelerates digital transformation. And then the photo at the top here is, it's inside some kind of factory room, very bare, kind of tile or white tile looking walls and ceiling, very office-like, very sterile looking. And there's a bunch of machines, and there's a big robot arm, a Flippy arm, and doing some work. And then just some Chinese person there, just one individual in the corner with a hard hat, sunglasses, probably because of the sparks that the robot arm is making, and a mask, of course. And here's what the article says. Let me get it in better frame here. Nanjing, in such a booming season for home appliance sales, machinery is operating at full capacity in the workshop of Gree Tissot Home Appliance Company Limited in the city of Sichuan in East China's Jiangsu province. Automated robot arms are working in a swift and orderly fashion to put components and parts in place with almost no human intervention, thanks to its quote-unquote brain, a smart manufacturing control center. The machinery in our this is a quote, the machinery in our workshop is connected to the central supply system, which has the ability to give out orders for the effective running of the entire production process, said a man in charge of Gree Tissot. just a man in charge of it, noting that the central control plays a key role in the workshop, which can monitor the real-time functioning of machinery and manage the scheduling of resources like raw materials. Gree Tissot has raised its production efficiency by nearly 50% and cut down its energy consumption per product by 18.39%. Energy consumption. I wonder if that's talking about human energy consumption. And, efficiency. Of course, humans are sloppy when it comes to manufacturing, and especially at mass levels. So very convenient, isn't it? That just a comparison. China's youth jobless rate hits record high. Robot factories springing up, doing factory jobs more efficiently and with better energy consumption. Sichuan has built 32 factories like Gree Tissot, a model workshop of smart manufacturing at provincial level. Okay, so the next one will be the 33rd factory. The city released a plan this February to advance the intelligent transformation and digitization of its industries, aiming to complete the transformation of 700 major industrial enterprises. Yeah, here's why they're not being hired. The young people, they got their college degree. Hey, can you code AI? No? Well, go do something else. And it goes on here. And it talks about all these different agendas for China to digitize their entire country and economy and the workforce. And so I think this does a couple things. first off, obviously, yes, as we said at the beginning of the pandemic, this is a great opportunity for machine learning, robots, and everything else to take over the world of manufacturing or any kind of conveyor belt type of job, and do it more efficiently and do it better. On the other hand, what are all these people going to do? The youth in China, what are they doing, number one, and what are they going to do? How do you pass the time? I think two possibilities, and both are similar in a sense to warfare. In one sense, if we do come to a more physical altercation with the East versus West, if World War III erupts into something a lot more front lines, just traditional warfare, bodies being sent out as collateral, to defend a nation, that kind of thing, then it's a great opportunity because China has all these people that are unemployed. But the other side of it, and this is where I imagine a lot of the social conditioning and everything else has been beneficial for a communist-style country like China. I think a bunch of kids are going to be forced to play more video games, which I know they have strict rules about, right? They have rules about video games.
Daddy!
What?
Hazel has glass in his arm.
Oh, no. Okay. Son has glass in his arm. Let me go take a look. Let me go ahead and play a little bit more songs here. Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm coming. All right, hold on. Let me try to find that song and play a little bit more. Let's see. Here we go. How about we start off that Psalm 40 song around where we left off and play the rest of it here.
They bear the mark, that is, the name of the beast, or the number of its name. Then, behold, the Lamb stood on Mount Zion, and with him were the 144,000 who are sealed with his name. They have been redeemed from mankind as the firstfruits of God, for they are blameless. Then an angel flew overhead, proclaiming the gospel to the whole earth. He said, "Fear God and give him glory. The hour of his judgment has come." A second angel followed and said, "Fallen is Babylon, the one who has made all the nations drink the wine of immorality." Then a third angel came and said, "If anyone worships the beast and receives its mark, he will also drink the wine of God's wrath." Then I saw a white cloud, and seated there was the Son of Man. He wore a golden crown on his head, and he carried a sharp sickle. Another angel came out from the temple of God and said, "Go and reap, for the hour has come. The harvest of the earth is fully ripe."
Okay, I'm back. All right, it's not as bad as was made out to be. He's fine. He had his little shard of glass in his arm. They knocked over something. Yes, chaos. All right, what was I saying? Something about China and the youth and video games or something. What was I? China video games. Yeah, so it's possible that the youth, like, what are they going to do? What, because they don't have jobs, what kind of ways could they make money? And I'm wondering, there was a story last year about China restricting video games for young people and how they're kind of beefing up the military and so in the way in which the United States has been demasculating culture, society, and especially the military. China's been going the other way. They're really trying to like beef up the masculinity and the patriarchal sort of sentiment or culture. But China's also very big on technology in terms of the gaming platforms. It's a big part of their market, esports and just any kind of digital game. And with Web3 coming along, there's a lot of play to earn type of stuff, very much in line with kind of like Real Player One, where you go into the metaverse and you do things to literally earn money that you use to pay rent and food and everything else. And that will become a reality. I have no question about it. But it's not for any random purpose. I think for China, if they do this, and if they're able to use the social conditioning that they have with the social credit score and everything else, they can create digital warriors, so to speak, like online warriors, where it's a lot more like Ender's Game or something, or Avatar, I guess, the movie Avatar. So anyway, I'm just trying to think of what all these people, these unemployed, the 1 in 5 in China, the 1 in 5 between, 17 and 24, what are they going to do to pass the time? And I got to imagine it's going to be something to do with being online. And given how controlled the internet is in China, I can see them, the government and the technocratic elite there in China, shaping the meta warriors. Because if it gets to that point where things are happening online and things happening in the metaverse / online virtual reality becomes more important than the physical world, what kind of situation will we find ourselves in the future? So that's just the thought I had in terms of this China thing. And I just thought it was interesting to compare the two stories about China not having, or the jobless rate going up to nearly 20%, and China accelerating digital transformation. So there you go. That's something to keep in mind. But that's not all that's happening in China. And again, this is all part of the social control mechanism here and conditioning the masses, especially the young people.
Since the beginning of time, man has yearned to destroy the sun. I will do the next best thing. Block it out.
How dare you?
Climate change. Climate change. Climate change.
Mass extinction.
This is from nzherald.co.nz. It's a New Zealand outlet. And the headline here, extreme China heat wave could lead to global chaos and food shortages. Okay. We didn't see that one coming, huh? Cars, batteries, solar panels, food. Global shortages and soaring prices are almost certain as China's seemingly never-ending heat wave sears on. It's the most extreme heat event ever recorded in human history. For more than 70 days, the intense heat has blasted China's population, factories, and fields. Lakes and rivers have dried up. Crops have been killed. Factories have been closed, except for the robots that keep working because they don't care about how hot it gets. More than 900 million people across 17 Chinese provinces are subjected to record-breaking conditions. From Sichuan in the southwest to Shanghai in the east, temperatures have been topping 40 degrees Celsius, which is, wow, that's very high. In the Sichuan city of Dazhou, an air raid shelter has been converted into a heat refuge. In Chongqing, subway stations are opening to offer subterranean recovery stops, but the extreme heat and dry weather are having far-reaching effects. Energy, water, and food supplies are being hit across the country. Rivers are drying up, dams are emptying, hydroelectric plants are shutting down. And there's a shocking picture of the drought in China. And, if there's any government that would really test the abilities of their geoengineering technology, it would be China. As horrible as guys like Newsom and all these folks are, in my opinion, are they evil enough to scorch their own citizens? I don't know. Maybe not. But in China, seems to be a thing. But, the other part of it is that this is somebody in the U.S., dialing it up. Hey, China, you gave us the pandemic. How's this super UV light to roast all your citizens? Signs of things to come. The Sichuan megacity of Chongqing, home to some 30 million people, reached a top of 45 degrees Celsius on August 15th. That's gotta be like 110, 20? Hold on, I'm going to do the math here. 120 was what came off the top of my head, but that sounds ridiculous. But let me just do the conversion to make sure here. Let's see. And I know some of you guys probably know this by heart. I used to know it by heart. Oh, I'm way off. Close. 45 degrees Celsius is 113 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hot, folks. That is scorching. Let's see. These are the highest temperatures China has recorded outside the occupied desert province in Xinjiang. Quote, "There's nothing in world climatic history which is even minimally comparable to what is happening in China," weather historian Maximiliano Herrera told New Scientist. Quote, "This combines the most extreme intensity with the most extreme length with an incredibly huge area, all at the same time. Electricity demand for cooling has spiked. At the same time, production has plummeted. Not enough water is flowing through hydroelectric power turbines. Nuclear power plants are struggling to keep their reactors cool. Chinese sources state that some 66 rivers have dried up completely." Interesting number. 66 rivers have completely dried up. And parts of the critical Yangtze River system are at a third of their normal levels. A third, huh? The lowest since the record began in 150 years ago. And it goes on, and you got these videos showing how hot it is in China. And supply chains are broken, and food supply will shut down. The Empire Strikes Back. China's Communist Party is saying it is taking resolute action to combat the crisis. It has ordered water to be released from its Himalayan reservoirs. Wow, they have Himalayan reservoirs? I didn't know that. An intense program to fire cloud seeding agents into the sky is underway. There you go. Where's my geo? I should have had my geoengineering thing too. But yeah, this is, interesting again, how we look at problem, reaction, solution. And, look, cloud seeding has been a thing for a while, for decades at the very least. But to find a whole nation in a situation where they're openly saying, we got a cloud seed to get the rains going, it is just telling the rest of the world, hey, we can control the weather. All this fear about climate change this, climate change that. And similar to the problem, reaction, solution in transhumanism, where it's like, people get cancer. We're not going to necessarily solve it for you. We can treat it. We're not going to get to the source of the issue, but hey, we can do all these radiation treatments and things like that. Same kind of thing, right? Using cutting edge technology to solve the problem. So, I don't know. There's a parallel here with all of this in connection to the great Hegelian dialectic of problem, reaction, solution. And, of course, on this show, nations like China, we understand they're a communist country and they run things a little differently. And it's not the Chinese people per se, it's the Chinese government. But because we're always looking at things from a spiritual lens, there's things beyond that. The principalities and powers that control the regions, right? Or at least are trying to. So it's very obvious to those looking at it in that way that spiritually certain parts of the world would succumb to the desires of the watchers or the negative watchers. So there you go. I had those are a couple of things from China coming in about climate that overlaps with climate change and geoengineering. And I think it's very interesting. It's all demonic power.
Demonic power!
Climate change. All right, we're going to take another short break to thank a few more people. But before we do, we are going to play a couple messages from the Speakpipe.
Please leave a message after the tone.
At the tone, please record your message.
Leave a message. Beep.
Message!
All right, so if you go to canarycrynewstalk.com, you'll see a little green tab either on the right-hand side or the bottom if you're on your mobile phone. And if you click on it, it will give you a pop-up window where you can record a message for 90 seconds. And if you play the message, if you record a message, you're giving us permission to play it or not. You know, we are the gatekeepers of Speakpipe messages. We have a couple of them today, and we thank you for sending it. The first one is from The Sentinel.
What's up, Basil and Gons and Canary Cry family? It's The Sentinel. I just want to give a quick message about this character, Ina, who was posing as a Rothschild, and the breakdown of what it means to be a Russian-speaking Ukrainian, right? So first off, Basil, I thought your deconstruction, understanding why the news would include that small detail was very accurate. It is a very negative thing for a lot of us who don't have understanding of maybe why a Ukrainian would be speaking Russian. So I do think the motives behind that could very well be exactly how you laid them out, but I want to offer some insight to the family here. So we have to remember that Ukraine was actually part of the Soviet Union, part of the USSR, and they spoke Russian, right? So there's generations, 30s and 40s, 50s, 60s, right, who spoke Russian. They didn't speak Ukrainian. And Ukrainian is having to be retaught in schools to students and to kids whose parents prefer to speak Russian, right? So while I was over there, and when I'm over there, I'm speaking Russian with my friends. I'm not speaking Ukrainian, but I'm with Ukrainians, right? I'm in Ukrainian-controlled territory speaking Russian with Ukrainians whose best language is Russian, and that's not always the case, and obviously this is changing now, but Ukrainians do speak Russian.
Valid point. I think somebody else also mentioned it in the comments on the YouTube page. So yeah, I think this is actually specifically for Basil because he was kind of pointing out the language situation there in Ukraine. So it's something that actually I personally have no idea about. I had some friends from that area growing up, but other than that, I'm not super familiar with the history. I mean, I was there. I was there when they tore down the wall and stuff like that. I was 6 or 5 or something when that happened. So I was alive, but I wasn't aware of what was happening. So we appreciate that. We appreciate the clarity and some of the nuances when it comes to topics like that from the boots on the ground Sentinel, who was in Ukraine for a little bit there. So we appreciate the message there. We also have one here from Rochelle.
Happy Monday, Canarians. I missed you guys. I would like to speak to anyone who may sometimes just wonder, what are we doing here? Where are we going? Who's driving this thing? Okay, maybe it's just me. But, where do humans fit in? I have no idea, but I do know who's in control. So, we were all created wonderful and wretched through a cosmic conspiracy, dreaming of the dreaded day when Jesus rescues me. Forewarned are the fretted future sailors of the sea. If it's Babylon you're headed, death is the devil's decree. Created wonderful and wretched through a cosmic conspiracy. Thank you, everyone. I hope you have a great day. Stay strong for Jesus.
Hallelujah. Thank you very much, Rochelle. Wonderful as always, and appreciate the encouraging words there. Rochelle's kind of the word of encouragement here on the show now, kind of like the stuff I used to do there, but she only has 90 seconds to do it, and she sings. Makes it all worthwhile. Thank you very much, Rochelle. Appreciate it. We're going to thank some people who came in under the amount of $7.77, which entitles you to have a note read And we'll go through the list quickly here. First up, Sir Darren Knight of the Hungry Pandas on a 38-episode streak. Thank you, Sir Darren. Next up, we have Sir Casey, the Shield Knight, the Streak. Oh yeah, he's beyond streak. He's the streak setter. He's the streak setter. 199 episodes in a row. Wow. That is amazing. Well, he just a couple away from 201. It will be event 201 for Sir Casey. Thank you very much, Sir Casey. Next up, we have Sir Scott, Knight of Truth, who's right behind him at 188 episodes in a row. Thank you, Sir Scott, Knight of Truth. Next up, we have Gail M., one of the Streak Sisters, on a 164 episode streak.
Women rule!
Thank you, Gail M. And again, because I'm doing this solo, it is very possible that there were a handful of people that came in after I started to document all the stuff for this episode. And for that, I apologize. If I missed you, we will definitely make it up on Wednesday. And we will also not dock you for your for the streak if it is the fact that you came in a little bit after I put the document together. So appreciate all you folks. And let's see. This has been kind of a crazy show with like kids breaking things and doing solo and... yeah, the show must go on. And with that, do I have to cut off? We are going to talk a little Covido Waxino. And usually this is when we cut it off. I'm a bit more of a risk taker than Basil is when it comes to this stuff, because Basil really likes to preserve YouTube and have us not get strikes. I, on the other hand, I live a little more on the edge, which clearly I've fallen off because they've terminated 2 of our channels in the last year. But word on the street is that they're changing that, right? That they're not going to be as strict on the whole thing about discussing the Covido Waxino. So I'm going to go out on a limb and just go for it. Should I? What do the people think? Let's see. Danger. Cut it. They'll ban us. I don't know. You see, the reason why is because the stories we have today are kind of... well, you know what? One of them is a little bit more inflammatory. It is a little triggering for me. So, yeah, maybe we should say bye to YouTube. Yeah, all right, fine. We're going to say bye to YouTube. Go to canarycry.party. Look for us on other platforms. You can find us on DLive if you want your chat to be shown on screen there. Otherwise, you can find us on Rumble. You can find us on Odyssey. You can find us. I think that's it, actually. It's like in Star Wars, the first one when they're in the trash bin and the walls are closing in. It's kind of what it feels like right now. It's just getting squeezed. Oh, you can also go to Twitter, either the Face Like the Sun Twitter page or the Canary Cry Radio Twitter page, and pinned at the top. Oh, I forgot to pin it. Oh no. It's one of the things I forgot. Oh no, I forgot to change the image on the thing on the YouTube. The icon. Hold on, I'm going to do that first. Oh no, I didn't. Or maybe I did. No, I did. Okay, hold on. Let me sorry, this is horrible. This is horrible radio. I'm going to do this real quick and update that. Oh boy. Man, running the show solo is the last time I ran the show solo, I think it was episode 480 something. And things have changed a little bit. There's more responsibilities that Basil's taken on, which means more responsibilities for me to fill, or more jobs to do, more hats to put on when he's gone. So, all right, YouTube, the thumbnail is fixed. Canary Cry Twitter page. I'm going to pin the video to the top, or the stream to the top here. Oh boy, yeah, this is great radio before I shut off YouTubers. And on the Face Like the Sun Twitter page as well, you can go watch the live stream there too. Okay, YouTubers, you know what to do. Go find a different place to.
Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure?
Go to Twitch, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is. You can find all those links at canarycry.party as well.
Too hot for YouTube.
YouTube. Now you see me. Now you don't.
All right. And you know what I just realized too is I didn't even talk about the title of the episode, Jared Athanasia. Athanasia meaning like immortality or avoiding death. So yeah. All right. Bye, YouTubers. Find us elsewhere. Click.